So I'll call this meeting of Mills County Commissioners Court, a regular meeting to session to order. If you would join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Williams, could you lead us in prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, bless this day that you have granted us. Thank you for everything that you have given to Mills County. Guide us and direct us in all of our actions. Bless this county with some more rain. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, I know the court is present in person with the exception of Commissioner Guerin, who we understand is running late. So we have a quorum. Also present in the courtroom, county officers or the county treasurer and the county clerk. We have a couple of people that have signed up to speak, but let's dispense with item 2 on the agenda, which is a review and act on the minutes of August 16th. Has the court had an opportunity to review the minutes? And if so, are there any comments or corrections?
I have none. I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I will second that. So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of August 16th, 2021. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is 4 ayes. On the audience with individuals, we have 2 individuals that have signed up. Dwayne Rawson, talk about subdivisions, and Rex Williams to talk about the county budget. We are having a public hearing here on the county budget. Mr. Williams, would you like to speak in context of that, or would you prefer to go separately?
Well, I just a few words to say, Commissioners.
Okay, let's if it's okay with you, let's do it in the format of our public hearing in a few minutes. Mr. Rawson, we've got nothing on our agenda with regard to subdivisions. Would you like to speak now briefly?
Yes.
We have a microphone here for you, please. If you would come up to this corner of the bench, we'll get you on voice or on camera.
My question is about the drainage. Now, the subdivision pertains to landowners. And my question is, what about the county? Is the county going to have to update their values first before we have to update ours? We're talking about is the ditches. I'm just talking about, I'm sure it's, I'm dressing mine. My ditches, time after time, I've had to ask my commissioner to clear the ditches up. Every time they break the roads, they fill my ditches up, damage my tin horn. This is continued process, well, not now because the windmills have been installed. But majority of our ditches are filled up to the level of the road. How can we enforce how can we comply by the subdivision when our ditches are filled up? We can't comply by it if we got to have the drainage there when the ditches are filled up. The water can't flow anywhere. This has been a continuous thing with in my precinct. And as I drive by, it's a lot. I'm not going to frame on that. And again, tin horns, they're damaged. because by doing the same thing. On the drainage on county roads, on curves on some of them, they overflow because there's no drainage there. And this is a county road. Are they gonna have to enforce, put the drainage, pinholes there to allow drainage from one side to go to the other, to stop the roads overflowing? You'll talk about in subdivision as far as water flowing to sewage. What about up here at the meat processing plants? Every hunting season, when I was running as a writing candidate last election, when I talked to some of the voters, like in the community where down where it flowed down, the residents there said every hunting season they have to put up the smell of that blood flowing down their streets and have to put up until it flares up. Is that going to be corrected when the subdivision is enforced? Well, that's about all. And I would like to, and I know what the judge said, that this is just state. I'd like to see if we can get answers to in the next court, or we can get some answers to these questions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Okay, we're gonna get a little bit out of order here on the agenda. The county had we have posted a public meeting at 9 o'clock. It's now 9:06 to this on the proposed county budget for the fiscal year starting October 1st, 2021 and running through September 31st of 2022. I want to recess Commissioners Court at present at 9:07 to hold, and we will go into that public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we recess for the public hearing.
I will second that. So we have a motion and a second to recess for the public hearing. Any opposed? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, the court is in recess, and now I'll call to order a public hearing to listen to and take input on the county's proposed budget for the year 2020 through 2021, 2022. So we are now in public hearing at 9:08. Mr. Williams, you have signed up to speak. Would you like to come up and grab the microphone? And we would welcome your input. Well,
Use it for the.
we need it for our record, and there are also people that watch this remotely and they can't hear as well as we can. Thank you.
I'm just concerned about this, the commissioner's budget. Has it been approved yet by y'all?
No
Precinct?
No budget has been approved until after a public hearing and a vote, so none.
I'm very concerned about it. It's so one-sided. I mean, I looked at how can you cut one precinct's budget when it's already low and prices are rising drastically? There's one precinct that's got a low budget already, and y'all are cutting it more, and that's not right. So I wish that y'all would readdress that.
Oh, could you be specific on which precinct you're speaking of?
I don't think I have to, but it's precinct 1.
Okay.
I mean, you know as well as I do, prices are rising drastically. Gas pumps, tires, just general maintenance. And that's my concern.
Thank you. We are in a public meeting, public hearing. Is there anyone else from the public that would care to speak about the proposed budget? Well, just in case some people are running late, let's wait about 5 minutes if it's pleases the court, so make sure we don't have anybody else show up. And then we will close the public hearing and move back onto our agenda. Just in the interest of not having too much dead air, I'll go a little bit over the process. The proposed agenda was filed, I want to say, July 30th. It's posted on the county website as a proposed agenda. The court has been having a series of discussions and no votes over the last several weeks and has more discussion ahead of it. By statute, the court cannot vote on a budget until after a public hearing has been held. That was required to be advertised in the newspaper well in advance, which was done. And that hearing is what we are having today. We have more discussion of the agenda, more discussion of the budget on today's agenda. We also have a provision to consider and vote on it if we are ready to. If we are not, we'll have it again the following week. The only calendar ties at this point is that county must adopt a budget before it can adopt a tax rate. And if the county does not adopt a tax rate and a budget before September 30, then by statute, the county is limited to last year's budget and last year's tax rate. So that's the constraints that we're operating within. The recent truth in taxation changes have made the tax rate discussion convoluted, to say it nicely. We actually have to vote on a proposed tax rate. And then must later, after we do the budget, we have to publish the proposed tax rate after we vote on it, and then come back and have a vote after we have a budget on a final tax rate. So the tax rate itself is a two-step process. The budget is a one-step process, but has the public hearing and a lot more discussion because it's 45 pages of data versus probably 16.
Is Charles Miles gonna address the court on our budget this year?
Charles Miles is willing to address the court about it if the court has questions with Mr. Miles. I talked to him Thursday of last week. And that's why I'm saying, although it's on the agenda, we may not be ready to vote on it. He is updating his 3-page summary of fund balances, proposed fund balances, and so forth. And to the best of my knowledge, we don't have that yet. Ms. Campbell, have you seen anything?
No, sir.
Okay, we talked with him Friday. Is it would the court like to have Mr. Miles available?
I just thought you said here a couple of weeks ago, you were gonna have him approach the court about our budget.
Oh, we could. We've been talking with him a lot. He's more than willing to do it if we want him to.
Wondered, just ask.
Okay, well, if you'd like him to, let me know. Well, we've had no one else show up for the public hearing. We have heard from one member of the public on the budget, which we appreciate. And it is now 9:15. So I will declare the public hearing closed and reconvene the August 23rd session of Mills County Court. We are now back in session. Okay, so moving back to the agenda on item number 4, consider an act on accounts payable. The payables report was distributed, I believe, Thursday electronically. If anybody has any questions or comments on accounts payable. Miss Campbell did this single-handedly last week.
If nobody has any questions, I move we approve it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Guerin for approval of accounts payable. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Parton. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, accounts payable are unanimously approved. Number 5 on the agenda is consider an act on line item budget transfers. These are in precinct 4.
Yes, so basically, we're doing cleanup at the end of the year. Had some school and training that attended. Also, that was part of a road in attending the school. Repairs and supplies and then tires and everything's coming out of equipment. That's it.
Any questions for Commissioner Williams? I move approval of the line item transfers in precinct 4.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimously approved. Number 6 is consider an act on a joint election agreement with Pretty ISD. Ms. Scott, can you tell us what we're doing here?
Pretty ISD voted to have a bond election on the November 2nd constitutional amendment election. So in the Pretty ISD school districts, they will have a bond. I haven't seen the language yet for they're supposed to be getting it to me today, but this is the standard agreement that we've used in the past. They will just have their information on the precincts that got Pretty ISD.
So you don't know what it's exactly for, you just know.
I know it's for improvements to the school, but I
Gotcha.
haven't seen the language. They're supposed to have it to me today by noon in English and in Spanish.
So under this agreement, they're going to use our election equipment, and will your election administrators then oversee it? Or will this will just be done jointly with our general election?
Correct. It's a special election, but yes, it'll be done jointly. There'll just be a different ballot for anyone that's in a Pretty ISD. Their ballot will have additional information besides just the constitutional amendments. And the poll workers we already have set up will just be administering that. They'll pay a 10% administration fee. They'll pay to have their ballots programmed. So.
Okay,
I make a motion that we approve the joint election agreement with Pretty ISD.
we have a motion from Commissioner Williams to
I'll
approve.
second it.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Number 7 is a review of tax rate calculation worksheets. The Texas tax code requires the tax rate worksheets, which came under this Truth in Taxation Act a couple of years ago, to be completed and submitted to the governing body of the county. Now, there's no requirement that it be approved, it's just submitted. So the assessment and collection agreement we recently approved with the Mills Central Appraisal District, they assumed this duty. And so they have prepared the 2 worksheets. Each worksheet is, I believe, 9 pages. I wanted the court to see them, and at the same time, buried in them is some useful information. So I want to give you kind of a quick walkthrough of it. If it's by line number, that's the only way to find things on these forms. You can find our last year's tax rate on line 4. Now, there's 2 forms. One is the county and one is the road and bridge tax. And so you got to know which one you're looking for. Line 11 shows was interesting to me. That's the market value of property that was removed from the county tax rolls for the first time in 2021 due to new agricultural or wildlife exemptions. So that's a number to be aware of. Number 18 is the certified tax roll for the county for 2021. We're talking 2021 here because that's the current year. This is the year taxes are assessed, and they're referred to as the 2021 taxes, even though they are received mostly in 2022 and are the revenue line in our 21-22 fiscal year budget. Line 23 is the new property that was added to the tax roll in the year. And line 26 is what's referred to as the NNR rate. That means no new revenue rate. In our former lingo, that was called the effective tax rate. That is the rate that would produce the same amount of tax revenue to the county as we received in the prior year, not as we received as we billed. Number 28 is the same thing. It's the NNR rate just for maintenance and operations. So that backs out the debt service rate. And that's for last year. And then 33 is the no new tax rate for management and operations for the current year for next year's tax payments, 2021. And then lines 34 through 40 are a lot of adjustments that don't amount to anything significant, but they're just statutory adjustments to that no new revenue tax rate for additional costs that the county pays that the state admits some ownership of. This is things like keeping prisoners beyond a certain number of days when they should have been picked up by Texas Department of Corrections. It's about indigent medical expense above a certain cap. It's about indigent defense cost above a cap or above a prior year level. For Mills County, all of those adjustments are zero. In 41 is a very significant number. That's the voter approval M&O rate. Generally speaking, it's 3.5% above what was up on line 33 as the M&O rate. At that rate, there's no longer a requirement for petition. It's automatically, if you go above that rate, it's on the ballot for the next election for the voters to vote on. Line 48 is the debt rate for the county. That's on bonded debt that the voters have voted for, not like equipment debt. Number 49 is the voter approved rate. That's the sum of the debt rate on top of the M&O voter approval rate. 66 is an interesting line. This is called the unused increment rate. So to the extent the county has charged less than the maximum rate or the voter approval rate over the last 3 years, that's considered an unused increment, and the county could hypothetically raise taxes to recoup that without the election. So not that there's any plan to do that, but wanted you to see that by being under the rates over the last 3 years, we have built up this cushion. If you want to call it a rainy day cushion, but it's a potential tax increment. And then line 72 is the infamous de minimis rate. That's the rate that we could go up to and have the increase be under $500,000 in aggregate taxes, even though it'd be over the 3.5%. So to me, this is the roadmap to those 16 pages of forms. But I wanted to go over it with you. And then there's another interesting table that we put together behind it. Just shows the tax rate in the county, Mills, Lampasas, Comanche, San Saba, Brown, and Hamilton. This is proposed. Everybody's proposing with their proposed budgets or publishing in the newspaper as a proposed tax rate. So none of these are final, but wanted to see how we stack up with the surrounding counties.
The total district tax rate is 58 cents. Total of 63, they all look at it. We're having a tax rate of 68, is that correct?
Well, I'm not sure I follow. 68 is the proposed tax rate.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
What was the first part?
They're saying here, no new tax rate, what you just told us is 58 cents.
Are you adding both road and bridge and county?
I'm not, that's what
Yeah, because the 68 is combined road and bridge and county. The road and bridge tax, yeah, is about a dime.
Okay.
So, yeah,
That goes to 68 that we have the notice here that we have.
yeah,
Okay.
And-
That's when I saw the 58 here.
yeah. And the proposed rate of 68 cents,
And road and bridge 10. I see
yeah,
that.
is approximately a penny and a half under the no new tax rate.
I see it now.
Yeah, it's all this legislation that was supposed to increase transparency has made it complicated as hell.
Correct.
Okay, well, the purpose of this being on the agenda was just to document that that these calculations were delivered to the governing body of the county. So no actions needed. You've got the calculations. Congratulations.
Can I run one more question by Dr.
You can try and I will try to answer it.
I know you gave us a proposed tax rate.
Yeah.
For all surrounding counties. I know Mills, we're in trouble as far as industry. We don't have any industry. And I know Round Passes, Comanche, San Saba's a whole lot like we are, and they have an excellent tax rate. But Brown, they have a lot of industry. Did you take that into consideration when you were running these numbers?
No, I mean, these numbers are just what's published. I mean,
Correct.
so yeah, you could argue this a number of different ways. You could try and divide it out by population or geographic area. They would tell you, especially Hamilton and San Saba, yeah, but Mills County has the wind turbine revenue.
Correct.
So yeah, there's no adjustments. This is pure published rates.
Population wise, how do we stand on these that you gave us an idea of what they look like?
Well, I mean, but on population, Mills County has the least population of this whole list. But the taxes are not assessed on population, they're assessed on property values.
But
So
we still have to provide public service to them as far as, ambulance service, law enforcement service, that still has to come out of our budget.
absolutely.
That's all I have. Thanks for the information.
You're welcome. I'm trying to make it digestible. It's difficult.
It is, I can imagine.
Okay, number 9 is continued discussion of the budget. What's in your packet was multi-year summaries on, we've previously looked at law enforcement and the precincts. This package is the courthouse department's public service expenditures in the district judge's office, as well as I've got the total payroll report in here. Just to give you a high level overview of what's going on here by department. And this is the order they're in the county judge's department. Salary and benefits for the judge are budgeted, but they're not taken. So in effect, that's another contingency in the county budget. The overall expense in the judge's department is about $3,000 more than the prior year budget. The big factors behind it is I'm anticipating a jury trial later this fall. That's about $450, and equipment and supplies of about $1,000, and the rest of it is odds and ends. That's the clerk's office. The expenses are up about $3,800. That's largely in the retirement system calculations, schools, and bonds and dues. In the JP's office, it's effectively unchanged. Actually, there are various small increases in different items, but they're offset by a $5,000 reduction in the autopsy budget from, I think, from 30 to 25. Now that's based on recent experience, but I need to tell you, it can be significantly lower, or significantly higher. It's really an unpredictable expense. Treasurer's office, we see an increase of about $4,600. $2,000 of that is salary and benefits, plus there's schools, training, supplies, and some repair. The Ag Extension office is up about $5,000. This probably Ms. Campbell and I may need to talk about this because most of this is in the TCDRS, and it may end up being that doesn't look like it's been there in the past, that it just may be a question of our agent being covered on our side or buying them. But we'll iron that out. It's not
covered by TCDRS.
It's not, okay.
No, so that number
Could come down.
Right.
Yeah. So on the county and district attorney's office, that's an increase of about $5,200, but that is almost entirely the increase in the state supplement. Now, the state supplement doesn't cost the county any money, but on a bookkeeping purpose way, the payout is in the department receiving the supplement. The revenue is off in the general fund category. So we have offsetting revenue for that increase. Tax assessor collector, there's an increase of about $3,100, and $2,800 of that is anticipated postage increases with voter registration requirements for the upcoming election. They only send out voter registration cards every 2 years, and this is the year that happened, so it wasn't necessarily in last year's budget.
You missed the page, Judge.
Which one did I miss?
Courthouse maintenance and veteran service.
Oh, thank you. And that means I didn't do a summary on it, so I'm gonna have to eyeball it. The courthouse maintenance is up about $11,600. A big piece of that, let me find it, is, $6,000 of that is repairs and maintenance on air conditioning. We have approximately, I want to say 13 compressors on the courthouse roof. We've been replacing, having to replace, it's not proactive, it's a break fix program, about one a year. But I'm told that as they age, we're having more problems. So what we've done in the budget is budget for having to replace 2 compressors. So that is the largest part of the jump in that department. On the veteran service officer, there's, $1,000 increase, and it's scattered. We're doing, there's some more training and travel. We have a assistant VSO. He's serving as a volunteer, but we still have some training bill that goes with him. This gives us some backup for our VSO. And what else? On the public service side, that's a big chunk. That's a total expenditure. I call it public service and community organization. I think the budget calls it public service expenditures. The 113,500 is 6,800 more than is in the current budget. Last year with COVID looking us in the face as we were budgeting and not knowing the effect of it, I asked what I considered the non-emergency related services, which were the Library Creditors Association and Museum, to take a cut, which they did. And this budget and this increase restores just dollar for dollar the amount that was cut last year. So it's an increase over last year, but it really is going back to the prior year level. The Historic Commission has increased $500. That's printing and supplies. There are no restoration projects currently in that budget. And CASA, that's Court-Appointed Special Advocacy, is increased by $1,500, which is Mills County pro rata share of 1 additional office staff in the Brownwood office. Brown County's paying the rest of it. And on the district court fund, the budgeted expenses are about 21,500 higher. And this is primarily due to indigent fees, both felony defense and family court, CPS, because the COVID caused an effective slowdown, and if not shutdown, in the system during a large part of this last budget year. That built up a backlog of cases that at the time we were budgeting, we expect to work through the court system over this year. And that will, from talking to the new district judge, he thinks he's got about a year's worth of backlog and he's going to get through it in a year. And these are the fees that would go with that. Now, the cost of the general fund of this $21,000 increase is really about $9,000. And you can look at that in the line called transfer from general funds. And the reason that the $21,000 increase turns into a $9,000 additional cost to the county is twofold. One is increase in court fees as they work through the backlog. And secondly, is a drawdown on the fund balances. The court fund itself had been accumulating, so we're going to reduce some of that. So that's the district court. Anyway, that's my summary of those units. There's a lot of data here, and between Ms. Campbell and I will do our best to address, and the department heads that are either in the courtroom or on Zoom will do our best to address any questions.
So the district judge is predicting a big influx in indigent. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry, a big influx in what?
On the indigent side of everything?
Well, it's an influx, it's an increase in case volume running through court based on not that there's going to be new crime and new child cases. It's things that have already filed that didn't get heard last year. Most of what drives these court-appointed attorneys' fees is the court session to resolve the issue. And that's what he's anticipating rolling through this year.
I misunderstood.
Yeah, it's based on his existing backlog. It's not that we're anticipating increased crime and trial problems
Backlog from last year.
from last year when the court was effectively shut down. Any other questions? Well, behind all this is the detailed payroll, and I wanted the court to see this. This is every paycheck that every person that is on or potentially on the county payroll, starting with the county judge at the top and ending with the shared staff of the district court on the bottom of the second page. And what it shows, salaries or hourly rate, it shows budget and actual for the current year, and then budget for the next year. Again, to remind everybody that just because something's budgeted, it doesn't mean that's what they're getting paid. We budget the cap. And then just as information purposes, there's a right-hand column that's the longevity pay. So you can see that some of our employees get fairly significant amounts of that. That, by the way, is in non-departmental expense in the county budget versus in each department. And that makes the money available without line item transfers if employees move from one department to the other during the year.
So his department was kind of increasing, what, $17,000 versus what it was.
You see if I put a total on
It
here.
was $2,083,801.81, and proposed is $2,103,222.
Yes,
So that's the increase.
of what, 26,000 round numbers. Yeah, there's different things going on in here. I've proposed an increase for our facilities manager. I mean, I've learned from working with him and through the hail damage, he's doing a lot more than custodian work. And so there's that increase. I think we have generally done in the courthouse staff approximately 3% for courthouse employees. You've seen, and I think we have it again in here, the elected officials increase. That's all in this number. And there's some, the other increase, there's a small increase in the part-time for veteran service officer who's done an exemplary job. What else? Oh, the other factor is in law enforcement. Actually, it's in jailer dispatcher. The new administrator there wanted to try rather than rotating shifts, a day shift, night shift, and a shift differential pay. So you'll see a difference between the day shift and the night shift. And all of those things together would be the $26,000 increase. I just want to point out that on the road hands, those were budgeted at, you find them. They were at 1850. They're budgeted at 1850, but we have budgeted also in Road and Bridge $100,000 of cash overtime. And then that's at time and a half, which on 1850 is 27 something. So there is, I think that's right.
Out of the 106,000 budgeted for overtime, how much overtime have we paid our road hands? they've taken it off in comp time.
That's correct.
And-
I think we've paid nothing is the answer.
And mine, I know in 10 years I've been here, I think they've had about 8 hours of overtime all they've had. So are we planning on increasing overtime? Is that what that?
Yes, we're offering it. We want to get more stuff, more improvements done on the county road infrastructure. And that's why there's a pretty good sized budget for material, equipment, and overtime in Road and Bridge. And it's only in Road and Bridge because there's no way for me to tell which projects and which precincts are going to do it, if they're going to work together, if they're all going to do it separately. So rather than shuffling a bunch of money from precinct to precinct, it's all in one place. And that number works out to, I'll tell you how I came up with it. It's 10 hours a week of overtime for 50 weeks a year for every employee, every road hand. Now, I don't think they'll end up doing that, but it's there. I mean,
Well, my concern over that with the road hands is the fact that I know every year I ask, or when we first started this, to put it in our budget, our handbook, we have to change the handbook also.
Mhm.
We pay comp time now, we'll have to change it to salary. I know I've asked my road hands what they would prefer, and I've been told they did a whole lot, have time off, time and a half they had paid because they get Social Security, withholdings, retirement, and everything helped out of that overtime pay, and they just don't get that much more money.
well, I mean, all of those things are really benefits for the employee. That's that much more
That's what-
retirement dollar, that much. Yeah, the trouble with comp time if the goal, and it is my goal, is to try and get more done on our roads. If you use comp time, you're still only getting 40 hours a week. You're getting 2,080 hours a year of work. This potentially gets us, 3,000, I can't do the math, another 50 hours of work. No,
How do we regulate that as commissioners? Dale, when do your guys work?
We work 410, so
4/10.
when the
Jason, when do
time,
your work go to work?
7 to 3, 30-minute lunch, or less than 30-minute lunch.
Mine go to 7. I don't know what, Jed, what does yours start at? So, in other words, what we have to do is change all that.
no.
No,
when the
73,
time
that's my work.
changes, the only overtime we would be able to get would be on Fridays.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we're-
Your hands would have to come in and work.
they could work Saturdays.
But when the time changes, you can't work before daylight or after dark, so from 7:30 to 5:30 pretty well kills it.
Have y'all ran this by your hands and asked them their thoughts on it, if they'd be willing to work overtime that way?
I would, mine's tickled to death.
Yeah, I
They
have one
just-
that he
just
lives
last
in
spring.
one that he's on the fence, so.
Mine said they would do it. The only thing mine would actually want was, prior notice, because some of them do something different.
I know most of them have different jobs that they do on the weekends after working hours, so.
But if we did some of this, I don't see, they get some time off, but the comp time, well, just like us fighting that fire the other evening. The comp time, they really don't get compensated for it. They get some time off, but these guys are out there till 7 o'clock at night fighting fire. That's not really what they want to be doing. I would rather see that go into their pay,
I just
but that's
wondered how y'all
fair.
saying stuff about it. I know I've talked to mine.
They don't want it, or,
Well, they'd rather have comp time. The fact is that we've worked maybe 8 hours in 10 years over comp time. That's all we've done. And that's because, like you're saying, it's a fire. We've had to go to a fire that they receive comp time. We don't do that much comp time. We do our work 8 hours a day, it comes to work at 7 and leave at 3:30 every day. And a lot of times they don't eat lunch. They just work through lunch a lot of times and come in a little early to do the paperwork, but I just
Yeah,
wonder how
I mean-
y'all's employees felt, because I know mine wanted to, they have other stuff to do after 3:30. That's when they want to come in at 7 when it's cool and try to get through, especially in the summertime, because it's so hot.
Well, I'm all for trying it. I mean, we're not saying that we have to use it. But it's there to help our infrastructure, so, I mean, I'm excited about it. I'd like to do several jobs that you can't always get done and, work an hour extra or 2 hours extra a day, especially in the summertime, to get some of those things done. Especially when we have moisture like this year, you don't want to quit. This helps our roads when we have that moisture, I mean, we're not having fall or anything like that, so. But again, I said I have one that's for it and one that's kind of on the fence, so.
Well, like I said, that's the reason I asked. I didn't know how y'all's hands felt. That's the reason I asked the question.
Well, my two are excited about it, especially one. He just came off a job that required 12 hours a day. And he thinks it's gonna be pretty slick to work an extra 4.
Have you run those numbers, Judge, versus overtime and hiring them an employee?
Yeah, yes, I have. And hiring is more expensive because of the new medical that goes with it. If we hired, every employee we hired out of the box is almost $11,000 for the medical coverage. So, I think we try it, we see how this works. If we, given comp time, doesn't get any more boots on the ground time to fix the roads, this is a way to put more time on the roads and reward our employees for doing it. If it doesn't work, I'm more than willing to throw it out, but I just think we need to try something. And it's an avenue for them to do something productive for the county and get paid well for it. Well, any other discussion on this component of the budget or any component of the budget?
Judge, I hate to bring this up, I know you're gonna shoot me.
No, I'm not supposed to.
What's your contingency on these dang Christmas lights?
Well, I don't know if we have enough time left in this meeting to fix Christmas light. It's in here in a couple of places.
I know they're gonna hit us about November, what are we gonna do?
There's money in the courthouse. Well, let's see where the custodian budget is. There's courthouse maintenance budget. I think I bumped it about $5,000. And then from talking to Ms. Campbell, in the past, we've paid the Christmas lights out of promotions. And so we put, I think there's an extra 10,000 in that. But I think that.
Decided to put it in miscellaneous expense.
Okay, in miscellaneous.
Yes, that's where I put it,
Okay,
10,000.
so we put some money there. Didn't want to just call it Christmas lights,
I
but
understand.
yeah, and I don't know. Who knows what the right number is? I think what I believe we should do is have our facilities manager come back with what he recommends. And I anticipate it'll take a lot of discussion. But what we have right now is obviously not sustainable. We've got windows that don't open, so we end up with permanently mounted stuff with indoor wiring that's weather deteriorated, and it costs us about, I think, $2,500 or more every time we bring that lift in, and you got to do it twice a year, once to put them up, once to take them down. So it's we need to look for a better solution, but there's money here.
Okay, that's just. That's what all I want to know. No further questions on the budget.
I had down here on number 11 to consider an act. I don't think we're ready to do that. I really want to get those, and I think we need them. The summary pages from Charles Miles that shows the effect on all the fund balances to roll all this up. So I would expect, I'll make that happen, to have that on our next Monday's agenda, to be able to have a budget in front of each of us to make any final amendments and vote on.
So you make a motion to table it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table item 11. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Number 10. This is the elected officials sent notices. The notices, elected official salaries, notices were given. We had the grievance hearing. We've had the fallout from that. All of that is over and done. And this still requires a court action. And I would move approval of elected official salaries.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, consider an act on a tax rate that does not exceed the no new revenue rate. No, on a proposed tax rate. This is the verbal gymnastics I touched on earlier. The court needs to vote to have a proposed rate. Then we publish the proposed rate, and then we have a meeting after we do approve a budget to adopt a tax rate. So I'm proposing a rate of, I'm rounding off for purposes of talking, 68 cents versus, and this is a combined rate for county and road and bridge. The no new revenue rate would be 69 cents and the voter approval rate is 70 cents. So we're under both rates. I've had some input from Jim Allison. There's no, since we're under those rates, there's no provision for a public hearing on those rates. There's no provision for advertising a notice of the proposed rate other than as done in the Open Meeting Act, which we have done. This is posted on the website. And with an approval of these rates, and this needs to be an approval of record as to who's for it, who's against it, then this will go in the newspaper as a proposed rate, and we'll set a meeting to vote on it next week after the approval of the budget. Obviously, if we don't approve the budget, we'll have to kick this one back a week also. But that's what I've got here is I would move approval of a proposed rate of 0.6900287 as the combined road and bridge. And
69.
I'm sorry, it's 0.6800287. And when it's submitted, it's got to be truncated to 5 decimal places. So I've got too many decimal places here.
So that was your motion.
Yes, that was the motion.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on a proposed tax rate of 0.68 cents rounded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So that's the tax rate gymnastics. Have I missed anything, Commissioner Williams? Or what?
Everything was an aye, that was a five, right? There was
Yes, that's right. I think we've covered everything on the agenda. I'm looking. So that gets us down to commissioners' requests and reports. Commissioner Wright?
Busy road work, that's all I have.
About the same. We've been busy with road work, got some repairs. I'd like to commend Blackner. People putting up those wind towers and stuff. They've got a trash crew working every week picking up trash on 575. And I thought that was a little above the call of duty. That's all I've got, Judge.
Thank you. Commissioner Parkin?
Still, we got some pretty substantial rain down in the Mullen area, so trying to finish up that fence line today. Did get the John Deere tractor with the shredder back, so we got it going today. Just basically kind of road work in a nutshell.
What about the rock crushing?
Still sitting out there.
Commissioner?
Should some of those other commissioners call?
I've called him twice. I mean, I understand the fact they're gonna do their hay cutting equipment first.
Yeah, but that's the first every day. I should be on the list. Anyway,
Well, it's been there since July the 1st, but I can't make them work on it.
okay.
How long has it been over? I didn't hear that
Yeah.
part.
We took it over July the 1st.
I know I had it over nearly a month when I had it and didn't do anything.
Yeah, I gotta call him again because that unit's gotta be pulled out. Supposedly we have to take that unit to Bryan or get it down there somehow, then the unit has to be rebuilt and then it has to be put back in the tractor. But
Can we take it out? Or do you know?
I wouldn't have a clue how. I mean, we could probably take it out. I don't know if we ever get it back together.
Commissioner Williams?
Just doing road work, hauling a little bit of material, but got some pretty good rains way out west. And so we're doing some road work up there. That's it.
Okay, I've really got little to add. Most of this last week has been on different aspects of budgets and tax rates. We're seeing a steady flow of new COVID cases coming in through various medical reports, and it's a mixture, honestly, of vaccinated and unvaccinated people, but it's probably 90-10 unvaccinated. Some people are hospitalized. It's a little, you can't really keep up with it, but all that's obvious is that it is actively present in our community, and just encourage everybody to take whatever precautions they deem appropriate, at least until we get the budget and tax rate done. We need to protect our quorum, and starting September 1st, absent anything else, we'll no longer to be able to use Zoom to meet our quorum requirements. We can continue to use it for other purposes, but we won't be able to use it to meet quorum. So with that, and there being no further business, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
A motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.